opening comments on this game. Obviously, first half, very competitive. You withstood a big run Gonzaga put up of 17-2, but your good early start put you out in front. And then in the second half, another run from Gonzaga. They go on to win by 16. Your thoughts on the contest?
It's interesting. Never thought getting into coaching that you say this, but, losing by 16, I thought we played pretty well, for big stretches of the game. I really thought we dictated the tempo of the game, especially for the whole first half. Really limited them in transition. I thought we did a great job taking care of the ball, playing off 2 feet in the first half, and it allowed us to go into halftime with that 3-point deficit. And then the only disappointing part of the second half is we had a couple moments where we let the emotion of the game and the speed of the game get to us, and we had some silly turnovers that were unforced. A couple of them were in transition when we actually had numbers, and those plays going that way, it led to the final score being what it was. But this was a much closer game than that for a majority of it. And I thought we played 34 really good minutes tonight. And but to beat the number one team in the country on the road, you got to play 40 really good minutes.
Go back to the first half, that sequence where they put up the spurt after you went in front, then they took the lead, and then you went to a zone defense. And I thought that kind of, that switch kind of confused them offensively, and that's when you guys ran off 6 in a row and reclaimed the lead.
Yeah, no, we as we discussed, earlier, we had some things up our sleeve for this game. You can't just play these guys one certain way for 40 minutes. They get very comfortable, and when they're comfortable, they're impossible to stop. So a big part of our game plan was keeping them off balance, whether that was playing man, whether that was switching a little more, throwing out a little junk zone to give them some different looks, depending upon what lineups they had in the game. And I think we did do a really good job keeping them off balance. I thought we did a good job on Timmy in the first half. It wasn't until he started getting a few more whistles and comfort in the second half that he got going. But he was 1 for 8. I think he was minus 12 in the first half. He ended up minus 7 for the game, plus minus, which is incredible for an All-American to be able to do that against him. He played 29 minutes. There were a lot of things that we had planned and that we were able to execute. I thought we dictated the tempo really for 40 minutes. They only scored 78. They got 6 or 8 points in the last minute and a half. I think there's a lot of positives to take away from this game.
As you referenced, a lot of the positives to take away from this ball game. Another big game for Jamari Bouye. You compete well against the number one team in the country. That spurt in the second half where, there was a call that could have gone your way. Jamari had the ball along the right wing, right sideline. It's a 6-point game. I thought they missed it. You obviously thought they missed it.
The ref thought they admitted he missed it in the last minute of the game.
Scott Sidwell would probably be proud because you picked up your first technical of your career.
Let's see.
But that was kind of a key sequence there in that game because, boy, if they make that foul call, you get a basket, it's a 4-point or a 3-point game, and it kind of swung things their way a little bit.
Yeah, the foul call was the
non-foul call.
The lack of was, I think, a little more influential. I'm never okay with getting a technical, because it affects us in a negative way. But fortunately, they only made one free throw, and then the refs made a call in our favor right after we got the ball right back. So it really only cost us a point. Either way, I'm not okay with that in terms of losing that. But it might have changed a little bit of the flow of the game because we had started getting going a little bit and cut it back to 6. But, it can happen up here.
You had some issues with foul trouble. Obviously, that impacted the way you subbed. To talk about that a bit, because you had Masalski, who eventually fouled out.
Yeah.
Shabazz had 3 at halftime. Tape was struggling with a bit of foul issues as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something that you have to understand is probably going to happen up here, especially the way we guard a lot of these guys one-on-one, and Drew is just such an impactful player in the post and very good at drawing fouls. Chet, with his size and length, he just puts you in precarious situations where you have to decide, do I take a foul or do I let him dunk it?
Yeah.
And I thought Khalil was really aggressive defensively and maybe picked up one that normally he wouldn't. But, it's, again, like I said, you have to try to negotiate and deal with it. I would have liked to get Zane a little more time. Just felt he was struggling in transition, getting back defensively, and that was such a big part of our game plan. But I thought Pat has continued to do a great job coming on. He's battling, a number one pick and first-team All-American, and they can't score over him. Yalian was phenomenal defensively, I thought, all night. He ends up with 9 points, 10 rebounds. What I'm most pleased about is going into the rest of the year, we stayed toe-to-toe with these guys, and I'm looking at them like, we can beat these guys. As we can get these guys at home. I think all of our guys will have a lot more confidence going into that game now, being on the same floor with these guys for 40 minutes. And JB, obviously put in 25 tonight. I think he realizes he can score on these guys when the opportunity arises. So, obviously disappointed that we lost, but again, a lot of positives for us to take away from it.
You alluded to Chet Holmgren. It's almost not fair with that guy. I mean, he goes a 7-foot lanky guy that can go on out in the perimeter and make a three-point shot. He really impacted this game quite a bit.
Yeah, I think, again, you got to tip your cap sometimes when they beat the scout. And part of our thought process was, let's see if their bigs can make perimeter shots to hurt us. And in the first half, he had 2 threes. Anton Watson had 1. If I don't think those guys will generally go 3 for 3 from 3.5, and we were still only down 3. So I think our game plan was effective that way. They only went 1 for 8 in the second half from 3, so we were on the right page. They didn't shoot over 50% in either half, which I think is really impressive. They shot 50 in the second, but these guys have an effective field goal percentage that's number 1 in the country. So, again, he's a phenomenal player. There's a reason he's going to be the number 1 or number 2 pick here in a couple weeks or a couple months, and it's great to get to compete against them, and I'm glad our guys did a good job of showing their worth as well.
Next up, you've got Pepperdine. The Waves lost in overtime at LMU tonight. That one came right down to the wire. So you're going to play a team that's going to be feisty, looking for their first victory of the year in league play, their own 5.
Yeah, no, it's a interesting game for us in the sense of, this is a very emotional game, right? Coming in, playing in front of a big crowd. Our guys, I thought were incredibly poised and did a great job staying together for the whole game. And what we have to guard against and what we talked about in the locker room was we can't have a letdown, whether it's in our preparation tomorrow as we get ready for Saturday or when we actually get on the floor again and compete on Saturday. This is a game we're going to be expected to win. With that being said, we have to make sure if we have the similar approach, both mentally and physically, that we had tonight, I think it's a game that we'll be okay in.
Coach, thanks for the post-game visit, and
Yep.
we'll see you on the bus.
Yep, thanks, Pat.